Hello, my name is Masha and it's time for another bracelet collection update video. I try to do these every 6 months or so, because in that time I tend to make enough bracelets to do an updated collection video. So if you want to check out some previous videos, even my first one, which has bracelets from like 10 plus years ago that I've made, I'll leave the playlist for that linked in the card and in the description for you. Let's jump right into it. And first up we have this beautiful wall hanging. This wall hanging is actually based on the cover of my book. My book, The Beginner's Guide to Friendship Bracelets, which is a photo tutorial book specifically for beginners, which takes you all the way from the basics to the more advanced stuff, is now out worldwide. And you can buy it anywhere you typically buy books. I'll also leave a direct purchase link in the description if you want to get it directly from my publisher, because then you can get it in a bundle as well with the physical book and the ebook together. One of you guys created the pattern for this and I was absolutely thrilled when I saw it. I had to make it. I filmed this entire thing for a Not With Me, so you can watch the entire thing be created from start to finish. And then there's also a behind the scenes vlog style video of me making it. So if you want to get some more insight into how that was created as well, I'll leave both of those videos linked in the description. But this was super fun. This is what the back looks like as well. I had to clean up the back quite significantly because it was a lot. There was a lot going on. This is probably the hardest thing I've ever made, to be honest, because there's just a lot going on. There's a lot of colors. It's not the biggest thing I've ever made. I've definitely made bigger stuff. But when it comes to alpha bracelets, what makes them difficult is the number of colors within one row. And as you can tell, there's a lot of colors here, especially if you look closely and you can see that even the gray, there's like a normal gray and then like a shadow for it as well. So, this took a lot out of me. In fact, there was actually a few more rows on the pattern. I think there were like 6 rows that I just decided to not do because I think it took me something like 15 minutes, probably more actually, to just do one row. So I cut it a little bit short, but I think it looks fine anyway. So yeah, I had to clean up the strings a little bit. For this bit, I think I had different strings on either side, where even if it was the same color, like the gray, I had 2 separate gray strings for the left and the right side. But yeah, I absolutely love how this one turned out. I'm so happy that I made it, even though it took me so long. Moving on, we've got some more alpha bracelets. We actually have a few coming up which have the same sort of general idea. We've got some kind of animal in the center and then just like some pieces off to the sides. These kinds of bracelets have been really popular for the past couple of years, and I think they still are. There's a lot of patterns out there that follow the same kind of vibe. Yeah, it's only 12.5 centimeters, which I don't quite understand how that happened because I swear I counted. Like in an ideal world, I would have like made more sort of just blank rows on the left and on the right. Somehow I miscalculated that, or I guess maybe I didn't count, I don't remember. But this one came to be a little bit too short, so maybe it, will fit a kid, but not really an adult, I guess. This is what the back looks like for that. I don't know why that's sticking out there. Maybe I should cut that off. But this is what the back looks like. This bracelet is actually part of a pattern roulette challenge that I did, in which I had to make random patterns off of my to-do list. This was in my to-dos for a while before I made it, but I'm so glad that I did because it's really cute. If I didn't say earlier, all of the patterns will be linked in the description, so you can make any of these patterns if you want to as well. Here we have another bracelet that follows the same kind of vibe, where there's like an animal in the center and then bits off to the side. I think I did actually add some rows on this one, on the left and on the right, and then I just like sprinkled in random stars here and there as well. This was also part of the same challenge. This was the bracelet roulette challenge where I had to make random bracelets off of my to-dos, and this bracelet was also on my to-dos for so long before I actually made it. I think I'm gonna make more of those challenge videos because random pattern challenges really force you to just like make a bracelet that you were planning on making for so long but then just somehow never got around to. So I'm gonna continue doing that. That's really fun. But yeah, I think this one is really cute. I just like cat bracelets in general. I like cats a lot, so I think it looks really cute. This is what the back looks like. Obviously there's a lot of, dragging of strings for the little stars. But yeah, this one turned out quite nice. I'm glad I made it. I'll leave that challenge video in the description as well if you want to watch that later. Moving on, we have another bracelet that follows the same vibe. This one I just made for fun. It wasn't part of the challenge, but I did film this for a Not With Me. I just haven't posted it yet for some reason. This is a really cute one. I really like autumnal bracelets. Like I made this in I think September, somewhere like that. I was preparing for the autumn and I just think it's super cute. And then I realized that I actually made a very similar sort of frog and mushroom bracelet last year, or I guess the year before that, because it's already 2023 when I'm filming this. So I just thought that was funny, but this is definitely a really cute pattern. I'm so glad I made it. Also funny because during that era when I was making this bracelet, I made a lot of patterns that just had this color as the background color, and I didn't notice it until after the fact when I was like, oh, wait a minute, there's like 3 alpha bracelets that I made with this exact color as the background color. I was like, that's just funny. So we've got this one, I think it's really cute. Moving on, we've got another bracelet. This is another bracelet that I made during that same era. And as I said, again, I used the same color as a background color and I didn't realize until after the fact. This one was definitely filmed for a knot with me. That video is already out, so you can watch me create the entire thing from start to finish. I'll leave that linked in the description for you if you want to watch that later. But this is like a sunset, you know, there's clouds, a sunset. It's also a little bit short. Although I say that, it is 14 centimeters, that's not too bad. Although I tend to make my bracelets a little bit longer nowadays. I try to make them at least like 15, 16 centimeters. But that's kind of a new thing. I guess 14 used to be my standard, really. I like this bracelet a lot. I really like the pattern. I think it's super cute. I actually found this pattern while I was moderating Bracelet Book a while ago. And someone submitted a variation for this pattern and I saw it and I was like, oh my God. I wouldn't have noticed the pattern otherwise because, you know, it's clouds. I didn't think about it too much, but once someone like recolored it into a sunset clouds, I was like, oh my God, I had to make that. So I quite like this one. I wish that the colors that I chose were a little bit closer together because I feel like there's a really stark contrast between the cloud color and like the shade color. I wish they were a little bit closer together because I feel like it would have looked nicer, but I really like this bracelet. Let's move on to some normal patterns. Didn't mean to separate them, but by accident kind of did. Here we've got this bracelet, which is actually a remake of a bracelet that I did previously. I've already made this. I don't have the older one because I think I gave it away to someone, but this is a remake. I did an entire tutorial for this as well, because this is a really popular pattern and also it just like, looks fantastic. It's so cool. So I did a tutorial for this. I'll leave that linked in the description if you want to watch it. This was also part of the bracelet roulette challenge, which is kind of funny because I would have made this bracelet anyway, but then it fell into the bracelet roulette challenge as well. And I was like, okay, well, might as well. So this one is really cool. As I said, I made it previously. I love this pattern. It's really fun to make as well. Like it's a lot of just like fun elements to it. I don't know how to explain it. So I like this one a lot. And then we have the same-ish pattern, but in a smaller and sort of candy stripe version. So I made this one as well. And I also filmed a tutorial for this one, which is a little bit easier. So if you want to like ease your way up to that one, or maybe you just want to make this one for whatever reason, I'll leave the tutorial for this linked in the description as well. This one is definitely really fun. I like it a lot. And also I've started recently, like whenever I do candy stripe shaped bracelets, to just do like a half triangle end to have it start in a candy stripe and like end in the same way. And I love how I've been doing that. I think it looks really cool. And then when you sort of connect it, it connects. You know what I mean? Like it just connects in like a straight line. I like it. Moving on, we've got this bracelet as well, and same story. Sort of I started and finished it in this sort of half triangle / candy stripe bit. This bracelet, I love it. It's so cool. I think I found it really difficult to choose colors for this one because I really wanted like a gradient for it. So I found it quite challenging to do that. But this was definitely really fun. This bracelet was part of the 24-hour bracelet challenge that I did, which I did a second version of that. I actually did a first version of that ages ago, back in 2020. And the first one was not successful, but the second one was very successful and I was so happy with how it turned out. So I'll leave that linked in the description as well. And I also have a tutorial for this bracelet. This bracelet actually is very easy to make. It might look difficult and complicated because there's just a lot going on, but there are literally 2 repeating rows. There's a lot of strings and it's messy, but there are 2 repeating rows. So this is actually really easy to make. So if you want to check it out, there is a tutorial. I'll leave that linked in the description as well. I called this the Rainbow Road bracelet, I believe. Relatively beginner friendly. Like I wouldn't do this as your first bracelet. Obviously, if you're comfortable with the knots, maybe you've made like a chevron or some other like basic bracelets before, then you can try this one out because it's not hard, but you just have to like be comfortable with the knots is what I'm saying. So yeah. This one, I love it, it's super fun. I don't remember if I've shown this one before, so forgive me if I have. Obviously, this one is very short. This one is a bracelet that I actually made for my book. I made a tutorial for this bracelet in my book, and I needed something to like actually make to take pictures of, and then obviously to like cut it and then to take pictures of it for my book. So that's kind of where this comes in. This one is very cool because you can make it out of scraps. All of these strings, like they don't have to be super long. You can have tiny pieces of string. I actually have like a little scrap box that I use to keep all my scraps from strings and then I can reuse them in other projects. I think I have a video actually where I go over my scrap box and show you everything that's in it. So I'll leave that linked in the description as well. But yeah, I made this one for my book. I thought it was super cute. And I think it looks cool on either side actually, because it's just, you know, a bunch of straight lines. I like this one, it's cute. Moving on, we have just a bunch of candy stripes. There's a bunch of candy stripes. That's what it is. We've got 2 of them that are doubled. So we've got like double striped per color and 2 of them that are single stripes per color. I love these guys. Do you know what? I really haven't made a candy stripe in so long, and I didn't think that I would enjoy it because it's just a bunch of forward knots, you know? Like at this point, that's not particularly interesting because it's just the same thing over and over again. It's a great starter bracelet, although I do still recommend you start with a chevron for other reasons. But it's a fun bracelet to make. It's just, you know, after 12 years of this, I didn't think I would have much fun, but I did. I actually really enjoyed making it for some reason. It was a lot of fun. These two, I think I made these two for TikTok. Was that the case? And then these two I actually made for a tutorial on YouTube. I don't quite remember which one I did for which, but there is a tutorial for this if you want it. I'll leave that linked in the description. And these bracelets were actually not only just fun to make, but I also wore them a lot. I wore them pretty much all summer, both of these, depending on, you know, what mood I was in. And I just think that's fun because I don't usually wear my bracelets, but I wore these guys quite a bit. So yeah, I like these ones. Next up, we've got this bracelet, which is what I called the dotted border chevron. This one is actually also very beginner friendly because it's just a variation of the chevron, which is the bracelet that I recommend you start with. This one is super fun to make, and I think it just looks really cool. Does this not look cool? I love how it looks. As I said, there's a tutorial for it, so I'll leave that linked in the description, but this was also part of the 24-hour bracelet challenge, and I think this was the first bracelet that I finished in that, so that was really fun. I love how it looks. I love how it starts with like these dots because of the teardrop loop at the start, and then it finishes with them because of the triangle end, and then obviously it has that as a border. I just think this one looks really cool, and even on the back. I just love this bracelet, it's fun. Oh, well, we have one alpha bracelet left. This was probably the highlight of the year for me. I loved this bracelet so much. I've had this on my to-do list for so long, and for some reason I just never made it. And I finally got around to it. I actually had to go to the store and like pick out colors specifically for this bracelet because I was determined to get them right. And I love how it looks, and I love the pattern and the vibes. Such a summery bracelet. I wore this all throughout summer as well, which is why the edges of it are a little bit crinkled because I would tie them. I love it, I think that it's great. And I also filmed this one for a Not With Me from start to finish, so you can watch me create it as well if you want to. I'll leave that linked in the description. Oh, and I forgot to mention that this and a bunch of other alpha bracelets that I talked about were also part of the 24-hour alpha bracelet challenge, which I did after the normal bracelet challenge. So yeah, there's 2 24-hour challenges that I did last year. I'll leave both of those linked in the description. They were actually really fun to do, although they took so much effort. My God. Moving on, we've got these 2 bracelets, which are actually the same pattern. And I'm planning to make a third one now for this pattern. I've actually got the strings cut already and everything. I don't know what it is, I just fell in love with this pattern, and also I found this multicolored string that I had never seen before and I really wanted to try out. And this pattern only has 2 colors. It's got the sort of multicolored color that I see here and then the background color, so it's the perfect pattern to try it out with. I actually started the pink one first, and then I realized that I don't like how it looks, and I think I made like about this much of it, and then I was like, yeah, I don't like how it looks. So I just decided to undo all of it because I wanted to keep the multicolored string because I didn't have that much of it. But then I was like, do you know what, I'm just gonna finish it. And so I finished it. And then I made another one as well with black. I think I prefer the one in black just because you can actually see the pattern much better. It very much blends in on this one. You can't see the pattern on this one as well. I still like it, you know, but this one is definitely my favorite of the 2. So yeah, as I said, I'm making a third one with a completely different multicolored string, and also the background's gonna be white, so I'm gonna see how that one turns out. Maybe it also blends in. It's gonna be really annoying, but we'll see. Next up, we've got this bracelet, which is the sunflower bracelet. I did a Not With Me with this one, and this one was also part of the 24-hour challenge video. I actually wanted to make a tutorial for it at first, but then I realized that there's just too many steps for me to properly explain, so I ended up just filming a Not With Me for it. I'm surprised that I was able to fit 7 of these sunflowers in because I thought that was going to be quite a lot, but I like how it looks. I also altered the pattern slightly so that I could have like a clean end with the background because obviously they connect and then sort of the next sunflower starts, but I altered it a little bit. I might do a tutorial on how I do that at some point, but yeah, I think this looks really cute and I love how it turned out. Next up, we have this bracelet, which, oh my God, this one was featured in my favorite bracelets of 2022. I think I did like a top 10 video of 2022, which I'll also leave linked if you want to see it. But this was definitely a favorite of that year. and probably ever. And I can't quite pinpoint why, because I keep saying that I don't love patterns that have like a really short repetition. And this one does, like it repeats a lot, right? It's quite short. And typically I find those quite boring because like you're just doing the same thing over and over again. But I think maybe because of the colors or just like the amount of colors, it was so fun for me to make. Like I had a blast doing this, and I love the color combination as well. I think it looks super cool, and I don't know, it looks like an optical illusion, and I love it. It was so fun. This one was also part of the 24-hour bracelet challenge, and I also did a knot with me for it, so you can watch me create the entire thing. I'll leave those videos linked. But this was definitely super fun, and I really recommend making this pattern if you want to. Same thing for this one. I actually really enjoyed this one as well. This one I do have a tutorial for. This is what I called the Sunburst bracelet, and I feel like it's so summery, and I just love the pattern as well. The colors, the pattern, everything about this is just like so fun to me. This was also part of the 24-hour bracelet challenge. I did all of those bracelets in 24 hours, which is kind of insane. I did so many. But I love how this one turned out, and I'm so glad that I was able to film a tutorial for it. It's a little bit complex because there's a lot of steps, but I managed to do a tutorial for it, which was great. So I very much recommend making this one. I'll leave that linked in the description as well. And last but not least, we actually have the first bracelet that I made in 2023, and that is this one. I made this bracelet just for fun, really. I found a bunch of DMC strings that I didn't realize that I had while I was doing my string unhaul video, in which I got rid of a bunch of strings that I had, which I'll leave that video linked as well. And I found a bunch of DMC string, and I was like, hey, I haven't made a bracelet with DMC in so long, let me try that. But I didn't have any black or white, so I had to specifically find a pattern and try to use colors without using black or white. And I feel like it turned out really well. Like the outline here is kind of a blend between brown and purple, but I love how it turned out, and it's just super fun. And you might think that this is white, but it's not. It's like a light green, actually. And I thought that it, might look a little bit weird. I was concerned when I started making this, but it turned out really nice. I actually forgot about this one. I made like half of it, and then I forgot that it existed, and I found it recently, and I was like, oh, this exists, let me finish that. And so I did. Filmed all of that for a vlog as well, which I will also leave linked. So these are all the bracelets that I have to update you on since my last bracelet collection video. There's actually a couple of more, but I gave some away and I don't have pictures of them, unfortunately, so I won't be able to share those. But I hope you enjoyed it. As I said, all the patterns and any tutorials and videos that I mentioned are all linked in the description. So you can either find the patterns, find the tutorials, make the bracelets yourselves if you want to, or just, watch any fun videos that I mentioned as well. As I said, my book, The Beginner's Guide to Friendship Bracelets, is now out worldwide. And even if you know how to make friendship bracelets, it makes a great gift. It's such a cool hobby to get people into. If you want to gift that to a friend, that will also be really cool. And before I go, I want to give a special shout out to my patrons and especially my top supporters. Thank you so much for supporting the work that I do here. If you also want to do that, there is a link in the description for you to sign up. But in any case, thank you so much. I really hope you enjoyed today's video. If you end up making any of these bracelets, make sure to tag me on Instagram because I love seeing you guys' creations. So please do that. But in any case, I will see you in my next video. Bye.